Okay, so this is video 16, and I'm just going to talk about my grid I'm making for information and how an app could be made for that. Or if you know of an app that already exists that I could use for what I'm doing, that'd be great. So basically, if there was an app that had a box that you could create the structure of it, right? Let's say you could divide this box up into a grid, and then you just choose pictures on your phone and place any picture in each box, right? So let's say these are all pictures, right? In any of the locations, and you can move them around if you wanted to as well, right? If you could flip any of these, then you could have information on the back, like written material describing what the symbol represents, right? Or you could maybe attach a video to each one, like a link. You could just click on here, and then a video would pop up, kind of like a short 1 minute video explaining what the concept's talking about, right? But you need to be able to flip it, and you need to be able to put whatever picture you want in it, and then flip it around and be able to put written description. If you could add a video to each box, that would be great too, right? Pop up a video and then would describe a lesson, right? So let's say you had like 81 symbols in a grid, and they had a video for each one that you just click on the picture, you could watch a 1 minute video describing it, or you could just read the point form of what it means, right? So I want to be able to make a grid, put it in each one, and then have like a question and answer. Let's say these are all uh, they're blacked out kind of thing, right? You've got the locations of a grid, and then it pops up a card that has a symbol on it, and it asks you where does that go, right? And then you click this one, it goes wrong location, right? And then it closes the door again, and then you press this one, it goes yay, you got it right, right? So the reason why we want to have like where we have to kind of find it is because it's going to take a little bit of effort and energy to try to find where that card is is located the first few times, let's say, right? But as we do that, because it takes a little bit of effort, our mind is gonna click in this engagement that says, hey, pay attention where this goes, because it takes too long to try to find it and too much energy to bother finding it unless you pay attention. Just remember where it goes, right? It's easier to just remember where it goes and then try to find it the next time, right? So we need something that is a little bit of a challenge in order for our mind to click in the memory cue, to bother remembering it. Otherwise, it's going to say, why bother? It's kind of like the thing where if you're driving in a car as a passenger and you're going somewhere and somebody's driving you somewhere, like for myself, I'm not really paying attention to where I'm going. Now, if I was to, I see where I'm going and stuff, but like if I was to get in the car, go drive there myself, then it's a different story. Then I'm the one that is responsible for making the right turns and stuff. And then I'm like, even though I've been driven there, it's like I wasn't really paying attention to where I was going because I was being taken there. But if I have to do it myself, then I have to really pay attention. And then if I drive there myself, then I'll really remember a lot better than if I'm being driven there, right? So we want to kind of make it a little hard to try to find it. If you've got all these spots and you keep pressing the wrong one, eventually you get it. You're going to make a mental note of where that is. So the next time you at least know what area of the grid it is, and you can get there faster, sooner, quicker, right? And the thing about this too is it gets easier the more you do it. Because if you've got 9 locations, let's say, to start off with, you don't know where a card goes, but you eventually learn where that one card goes. The next one, you only have to, that there's only 8 locations out of which you need to pick from where it can go to, right? And as you learn that one, then there's only 7 left, and you learn that one, there's only 6 left, and then 5 left, 3 left, 4 left, 3 left. In the last couple, there's only like a couple spots where it can go, right? Because the other ones you already know what's in them, and it gets easier, as you're going. Kind of like a bird trying to make a nest. The first couple twigs in there might just get blown away. Kids shaking the tree or something. It's hard to get the first few probably fit in there, but once it's got more structure and more is solidified, it's just way easier and quicker and faster to do, more as you go, because you got more of a fixed template structured, thing that's memorable in your mind that makes the placement and everything else a lot easier to put, right? So what I want to do is be able to have a card and show a symbol and then try to find where it goes and be able to put your own symbols in there. And this is, and then to be able to take, say, like 9 and then fit it into a larger, a larger grid of 81, right? And this is kind of like going to be my base, right? This is what I'm working with for my own self that's going to go into a book. You're going to have 81, spots. So not only, say, if I put the symbol into each one of these locations in a grid that's 81, I would have, like, say, a deck of 81 cards or symbols, right? And hopefully later I can just put them all like in a category. So this would be a deck on health, or I'd have a deck on relationships, or I'd have a deck on finances, or that kind of thing, right? Any kind of topic I want, information that's related to that, I'm going to put it in there. Right now I'm just going to do it randomly because I'm that's where I'm at right now. But in the future I want to kind of like make it really super simple so that it's just place and go kind of thing. It's everything's already pre-done for somebody to be able to learn everything really quickly. And then if I could get people, you put a deck together with symbols that people could memorize and stuff, and then I could explain what the symbols mean and show them the value of that. Kind of like the Karate Kid learning the wax on, wax off. He didn't know what the point of it is, but then he showed him the value of that after of what he was learning. It would be kind of like the same sort of thing, right? So here I have 81 spots for information, kind of like divided up into 9 topics. And then this would be one deck of 81 cards. And then I'm going to have, say, a master grid that holds the deck. So I could put one deck in one of the 181 locations and so forth, right? So this sounds complicated at all or like a lot. It kind of was when I first started the idea. I thought, 81, that's like a lot, right? But as we keep reviewing stuff, everything in the mind just gets simpler and simpler and more condensed. Like, if you have, say, you go to the store and you buy a lot of CDs or something like that, it looks like you've got like a lot. But after you review it so much, it seems like you don't really have a lot, right? Your mind kind of shrinks the information. It seems like it's not really overwhelming, or if it's not a lot of information. If you first start a job, it seems like they're throwing all this information, but then you just assimilate it all, and it's kind of like there's nothing to know. Our minds kind of just always just automatically reduce everything to where it's just kind of invisible knowledge kind of thing, and it doesn't seem overwhelming or anything like that. Once you get the information in place in your mind and memorize, it just kind of doesn't take up any room anymore. It's just kind of like a known thing in the background that you can recall anytime you want, but it doesn't take up any mental space at all. It becomes simpler and simpler as you do it. Like when I was in school as a kid, in preschool and stuff, the whole school looked huge. The yards looked huge. Everything was really big, right? Comparative to me at that time. And then when I've gone back and seen, things that I grew up with as a kid, everything just looks so the streets aren't as big, the school's not as big, everything just, it's not as big as it was for my mind at that age, right? And everything just kind of, people that are millionaires, like $1,000, isn't much in their mind, right? They think of like millions, in units of millions and stuff like that, right? So it kind of depends on what you grow used to, and by practicing kind of growing in your awareness of things, it helps to kind of reduce the kind of like the overwhelmingness of it all, right? It just becomes more and more simple, right? I want to make information super simple, organized, reviewable, applicable, have information in there that I want. And I'm just, shaking out the books, getting the gold nuggets, the concepts that are applicable, giving them all location of placement in a grid for myself, and reviewing that. As I think about that throughout the day, just randomly, my mind will remind me of this and that concepts. I try to act on that. It becomes a part of who I am. the end goal is to kind of become that grid, become the composite of all the information that I put in there, right? Like act from it, have it as my habits, have it as my thought pattern, have it as, my responses and stuff. Everything I want to remember to apply and act on and do and become, I want part of the grid. And then I review my grid, and that becomes like who I am, basically, right? And then I'll have a book to represent it. And because it's all like, I'm making it physical, it's memorable because I can place the physical objects in a specific location, and that becomes memorable. And the thing is too, is if you make information physical and have it manipulable, like if it's all cards and you can like place the cards around, if you move the cards around and you memorize it as this particular way versus a different particular way, it's almost like you are rearranging the wiring inside your mind. Now I'm not like a I'm not like a neuro doctor or nothing like that, right? So I'm just philosophizing or theorizing or something like that. But this is how I see it. Like you are almost like, it's a way for you to almost physically change your mindset in a pattern that you choose, right? And you're taking your thoughts, you're making the thoughts visible and physical, and you're rearranging the thoughts because the thoughts are let's say the cards are a physical representation of the thoughts that you're thinking in your mind. That if you rearrange the physical representation of the thoughts you have in your mind, then you're kind of giving yourself a way to rewire the thoughts that you couldn't otherwise, handle because they're not tangible, right? But you make the thoughts tangible, then you rearrange the cards, and then you're essentially rewiring your brain to fit that. Why? Because as I say, if you park your car outside your house every day for a year, if you think in your mind, where's the car parked? It's parked outside your house. But if you change that and you start parking at your neighbor's house every day for a year, you ask yourself, where's your car? Well, in your mind, the car's at your neighbor's house now because you changed the physical world, the mental representation of what that physical world will change simultaneously so that we're always, have a up-to-date, congruent mental map of what the physical world is. And as I say, we all have it. We're just not like aware of it. It's not like maybe, super, like I don't have, like some people might have a better visual, ability to imagine stuff and stuff like that. But everybody, if they keep putting something like socks in a particular drawer there, and you ask them where the socks are, they're going to know that they put it in the top drawer or the bottom drawer, even if they can't like physically, mentally visualize it as well as some other people. You still have like a working memory that's going to go in line with what the physical world is, right? So the two correlate, and we want to make the thoughts physical so that we can, remember them and have a place for them, and then an app to, challenge our mind to say where they go and to keep, expanding that, right? You can pick any one of the squares and then say, I want to divide this one into 9, and then pick any one of those squares and divide this one into 9, and so on ad infinity. And you could just go kind of like mental mind maps, but it's all going to be, structured in a grid that's kind of like definite in its structure that keep going down, versus like just like a regular mind map that's just, you're just throwing out ideas to any one idea kind of thing, right? It's going to be a structure that's divisible, and you can put this within a bigger as part of a bigger box, or take any box and go divisionally down infinitely. Yep, or down. Every box is divisible into 9 and to 9, and it's all starts off simple because just having 9 spots on, to remember 9 cards is, I can show you an easy way to get 9, but eventually you'll get 9 if you just keep doing that, right? You just learn what the middle one is first and then add another card, and play that, do those, and then add another card and eventually get it, right? And if you can do that, you just do it over and over again, 9 times, and then you got like 81 cards. You could do like, all of them together and try to, make it a little bit more challenging for yourself, or just kind of build up in your levels of challenges, with how many cards you're including in your view at the same time, right? So it's just reviewing over and over again, placement of cards, having a spot for them, holding on to cards that are valuable to you, that you want to remember the information, thinking about that through the day, applying that through the day, because you can't apply what you can't remember. And then that becomes a part of you, it becomes a part of your unconscious habits, your mental mind map, your way of being, and your response to the world. You're applying all these concepts, and you're taking the concepts from books, sifting out the concepts from the filler, everything else in the book that's explaining it, and stuff like that. And you're just taking a one symbol that is representing it, and then everything that had to do with explaining that symbol. I mean, you could it's kind of represented just by the symbol itself, right? You could just what that means, and you could take lessons on what that means or how to apply it and stuff. But you just need the symbol to remember what the concept is, and then everything that has to do with the concept is just kind of automatically remembered. When you learn about the concept, in a in a different place, right? Aside from just learning where the concept is held, right? So yeah, it's kind of an app idea. I'll just put up here. Anybody knows just where I can get like an app that has locations like this, where I could put cards in, like my pictures, and then where it'll flip, or not just flip over and I see the answer, but like let's say it tells me it's got all my like 81 cards, and it'll just shoot out randomly any given card, and then I have to turn over the backs and try to find where it goes, and because that will just flipping them over just tells me the answer, right? But I don't have to I need to find the answer, so that it takes a little bit of work to get the location, which is going to create the memory, right? Just flipping it over is too docile, you know what I mean? It's just telling me the answer, so it's not creating that working memory that's going to install it, right? So that's why I need like a question and answer kind of thing, and I need to be able to find it, and the process of trying to find it is going to create the resistance necessary to build the strength for my brain to say, yeah, let's just remember it, so next time we don't have to kind of flip over so many cards to find it. Okay, so that's just kind of my app idea for the grid. Thanks.